losses to crypto fraud in 2023 increased by more than 40%, surpassing over 300 million for the first time.
306 million stolen in the last year.
Yeah.
That's huge.
That's maths.
Anyone that's well trained with scams could even fall foul of a social, like AI impersonating someone's voice.
Yeah.
Oh, Dad, could you send me your private key because I'm in trouble? Oh, that wasn't me. Sorry.
Yeah. It's terrifying.
It is
Absolutely terrifying. If it sounds too good to be true, it probably is. Some of them are even some more daring than that, aren't they? Because they encourage you by paying a little bit. They'll show you a return, a bit like the Alpha CrypX.
Yes.
Which is around.
That's right.
They pay you a bit back, which then encourages you. So again, it's a hook.
Apes aping each other.
Apes aping each other, aren't they? So,
that's right. But that's a classic one, and assuming most people know what an NFT is, but it's a non-fungible token. They're using the celebrity image to say, oh, Elon Musk has invested in £1 trillion of dollars of Bitcoin. Don't become a scammer, because that sounds straight away. That's the Bumble Rumble coin has increased 10,000%.
Good afternoon, Kieran. How are you doing?
Very well. How are you?
Good. Yeah, very well. Thank you. Very well. Is your phone on silent?
It is, yes.
Good.
No,
I've just
no vibration.
No vibration. I've just learned that everyone puts their phones on silent, not vibrate. So I feel like an absolute boomer.
No one uses vibrate anymore. But
no.
Anyway, yes.
So, well, we won't be silent, hopefully, during this podcast.
Well, no.
That was seamless, wasn't it? Nice. That was a seamless segue. There we go. But, well, today we're talking about fraud, aren't we? Common types of fraud with cryptocurrency and digital assets.
Yeah.
So we're going to, through the next, 15, 20 minutes or so, probably talk to our listeners and viewers. Hi, Mum. About the various types of different sort of crypto fraud scams that are out there. The ones that we see, the ones that clients approach us about, and the ones that kind of are getting people on a fairly and increasingly regular basis.
Absolutely, yeah.
So, I was looking at some stats. I love a stat. You know I love a stat.
You do love a stat. You're a stat man.
A stat man, yeah. Yeah, not a scat man for that's an old reference. I'll be doing a lot of the old references, I think. But
yes.
So, apparently, so according to some figures, so in the UK, losses to crypto fraud in 2023 increased by more than 40%, surpassing over 300 million for the first time, and that was according to Action Fraud. That's Britain's fraud agency.
You stole my stat. That's the stat I had.
There we go. So I'm not the only stat.
It looks like we prepared for this.
It does, doesn't
what
it?
do you know?
Look at that. So I mean,
but that is frightening. So so up 40% in the last year.
Yeah.
To what's the figure?
Just over 300 million. It's about 307 million, I think. So the year before.
And those are fraudulently stolen or otherwise siphoned off assets.
Crypto assets specifically.
God.
Yeah.
Yeah. That is quite. I mean, I knew that stat, but it's
still quite surprising, isn't it? Even if you find surprise.
Exactly. But it is surprising. It's a lot of money.
What do you think? There's 70 million people, 75. So that's 1 in 4, and obviously 1 in 4 doesn't own cryptocurrency. This is a huge amount.
No.
But this is, I think that's linked to a bigger trend that fraud generally is on the rise. Financial crime is on the rise. It's the highest rising type of crime there is, I think. So,
and a more sophisticated type of crime is what everyone's seeing. I mean, that is alarming. I mean, so there's 5% of English and Welsh people that own cryptocurrency.
I think that's right, isn't it?
So 306 million stolen in the last year.
Yeah.
That's huge.
That's maths.
That is maths, but I won't even try and do the maths, the average.
But it's a lot, isn't it?
Massive,
but I think a lot of that was linked to the crash of FTX, because obviously there were links to that, and obviously the fraudulent trading activities around that. And our good friend Sam Bankman-Fried, or as I call him, Bankman-Fried, as he will be.
Certainly fried now.
Yeah, so that was a big cause of that.
Loss.
But it's been on the increase generally. I mean, you've got the stats here. I've got 2019-20, it was a little over 50 million. 2020-21, it was a little over 100 million. 21-22, 200 million. 22-23, 300 million. So
it's interesting. I wonder if that's because of obviously it's the rise in fraud, or is that the rise in the people that are holding crypto that then exacerbate?
Yeah, and I think that's it. It's been the rise in crypto values generally.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, huge since 2019. Bitcoin has increased exponentially. So, yeah,
So, and I mean, a topic for another podcast we're going to talk about is obviously the issue around that and the lack of regulation, and we will be talking about that in another podcast. But today we're going to be looking at the key sort of, well, the ones we said, the fraud, the common types of fraud, essentially, aren't we? So
yeah, that's right. And I mean, it's probably useful to say here, but of course they fall into two categories. One is gaining access to someone's wallet, and then physically stealing. And the other is impersonations or scamming.
Yeah, I do a few good impersonations, but
the scam man.
Also,
Maybe scratch that.
Yeah, and then within those you've got the subcategories,
Exactly.
don't you? So I guess the impersonation, I guess a good one to start with is the phishing scams.
Yeah.
And we're not talking phishing with
Some
Mortimer and Whitehouse.
Some fly fishing.
No.
No,
J.R. Hartley. I mean, there's a reference I didn't think
would fit.
You might be too young, although it was your birthday recently. Happy birthday, by the way.
Thank you very much.
Grand old age of what?
22.
There we go.
So, anyway, so how does J.R. Hartley fit into cryptocurrency?
Well, he don't, because it was obviously a phishing with an F.
Yes.
Whereas we're talking phishing with a PH.
PH, indeed.
So phishing scams. These are scammers impersonating either a legitimate service or an individual to gain access. And it's I guess the common times you've got I mean what they really want is your private key.
Yes.
So I mean I think most people will know now what a private key is. This is your pass key effectively to access your wallet, which stores your cryptocurrency, your NFTs, your digital assets.
Yeah, exactly. And as everyone knows, or hopefully most people know that have cryptocurrency, is if you lose that private key or someone steals it, it's very hard to get that value back.
That's you don't want to be losing that or giving that away.
Exactly. Yeah. I mean, well, and we see phishing schemes in our ordinary day, in terms of what we do.
Yeah.
So I can imagine it's pretty frightening if you suddenly discover that all of your crypto holdings or digital assets holdings have just vanished because of this. Yeah.
And we've got, thankfully you've got, what's it called? Firewalls which protect us and so on. Unless
Exactly.
it's potentially one that knocks down flight systems globally, like the recent CrowdStrike up
Oh
there,
yeah.
isn't it?
God, the app name of CrowdStrike
I know.
really did strike.
Yeah, it
Really did strike the crowd.
So so I guess the common phishing, you've got the email, don't you? So
Yeah. Click this link or whatever it is.
yeah, and we'll look at another podcast about how you can spot those, but for today's purposes we're just looking at these. So so these are, you're really tricking people, and you get those that are just awful, aren't they? Dreadful spelling. I guess the old school ones were the Nigerian prince. That's kind of how the genesis of the phishing email, wasn't it?
I think that's right, but I mean we've definitely seen cases that come through to us where someone may not be as technologically adept as most others, and they might just think, oh well, that's just a spelling mistake, that's fine, and then it looks legitimate, click a link. Whereas I think we're professionals a bit more trained to spot what that is, so you can see how it happens quite easily.
Yeah, and scammers are getting more sophisticated.
Exactly.
They're using things like AI and bots and things like that to actually make the process better, because the telltale sign before was spelling mistakes. It was because a lot of these they start up in different a lot of these scammers and hackers are based in other countries. I mean, there was the whole thing about North Korea. There was a podcast about that, I can't remember, the Lazarus heist. We've talked about which is a great podcast, by the way. Not as good as this one, obviously, but worth a listen to.
No podcasts are as good as this one.
Quite. So
I'm sure the listeners will agree.
The listener.
Well, they have to.
The listener. yes,
Your mum agrees.
So we've got so they started with impersonation. You've got the fake websites and emails, and then there's this thing called social engineering, isn't it?
Yeah, this is an interesting one, isn't it? I mean, well, we again see this, but that's. Anyone that's well trained with scams could even fall foul of a social. I mean, like AI impersonating someone's voice.
Yeah.
Oh, Dad, could you send me your private key because I'm in trouble. Oh, that wasn't me. Sorry.
Yeah. It's terrifying.
It
Absolutely terrifying. And I guess in the old days, it was there was a sense of urgency. Buy now, because this offer won't last forever. Now, as you say, it's a family, it's a relative calling up. Look, I'm in distress. I need help. It's things like that. It's the messaging as well. It's WhatsApp. It's phone calls.
The urgency of it. Yeah.
So then you've got the malicious links and so on. So I guess, I mean, some of the examples you've got you've got fake exchange websites, don't you? So
Yes, I mean that's and that's where a scammer poses as a legitimate cryptocurrency exchange. And you put your money in it, and it's buy to it.
It's I mean, you've got obviously you've got Coinbase, you've got eToro.
Yeah, I think the advice is to use ones that you know are regulated and that other people use.
Yeah. On the FCA register, things like that, and we'll look at regulation again.
But there's a plethora of exchanges anyway that are all regulated and fine. So it's tough. Yeah, it's a very diverse world, crypto.
Yeah, and you get sort of things like free airdrop offers, things like that. If it sounds too good to be true, it probably is.
It probably is. Yeah.
So what else do we have?
We've got Ponzi schemes,
the classic
Ponzi scheme.
Yeah.
So the whole typically involve the payment of huge returns to existing investors using money invested by new investors.
It relies on people constantly coming into the scheme, doesn't it? So
exactly. Yeah.
And was it Bernie Madoff? I think it was a big Ponzi scheme.
God, that really is going back now.
Yeah. I'm really showing my age.
Way before my time as a 22-year-old.
Sure. And the Ponzi scheme differs, doesn't it, from a pyramid scheme? Because with the Ponzi scheme, there's one person at the top, or one organisation, or one body, or group, and everyone invests into that, and then they pay the returns back by getting more investors. So it's a self-funding model, really. It's not linked to any underlying asset like shares, whereas a pyramid scheme, each investor in turn recruits more investors who then pay them, so everyone in theory benefits until both of them eventually it all falls down. I mean, some people have said that Bitcoin in and of itself is a Ponzi scheme.
Well, yeah.
I mean, I've got to say, as someone who invests in it, I don't want to say it is because I don't want to lose my investment, but it's
it's a self-fulfilling entity, isn't it? I mean, it's like if you don't invest in it, it's not there.
It's not there. It's not backed against any asset. I mean, we'll discuss sort of stable coins and so on, but NFTs and tokenized.
Well, this is it.
This securities, but
and what you're saying shows how diverse it is, and which then I think leads on to. I mean, everyone knows Bitcoin and Ethereum.
Yeah.
People may know about Dogecoin, but do we know about all the others? And then that leads you into the rug pull.
The classic rug pull. So
which is a funny phrase, but I mean, it is literally having a rug pulled under you because it is you investing in a coin that doesn't exist. So it's of course fraudulent.
Yeah.
And then
that's it. Or NFT,
or an NFT,
non-fungible token.
Yeah. Any kind of digital asset that's not there. And of course, your money is literally pulled away from you, as if it is a rug pull. You won't see that again.
This is it, and that goes down to the kind of the decentralized finance nature, doesn't it?
Yeah.
So it's unregulated. There's no sort of intermediary bank or any financial institution dealing with it.
Exactly.
But with these, they do create these tokens. So they do mint these tokens.
Yeah.
But they just create them for the sake of then getting the cash in, and then pulling the rug on you, and then off it goes. Yeah. So these are they're newly listed. There's that same sort of social engineering of it's urgent, it's buy now, great returns.
This one's on the rise. It's the new Bitcoin or whatever.
And it's they often promote these on social media, don't they?
Well, exactly. Yeah. And it's like you say, they can easily create it, and I think get away with it and list it on a decentralized exchange without going through any kind of code or audit. So it is frightening. And when you look at the amount of cryptocurrencies out there, I mean, it's huge.
Yeah.
I have a stat here that says from January to December in 2022, over 117,000 scam tokens were created, which stole billions of pounds and dollars from unsuspecting. So 117,000 scam tokens.
It's unbelievable, isn't it?
And it is hard because, I mean, everyone knows what the price of Bitcoin was 10 years ago.
Yeah.
And then you think, oh wow, could this be, if I put, let's just even say £500, is it going to be worth, £50,000 in
50
10 years?
million or whatever,
And the likelihood is, well, of course, if you're investing in one of those 117,000, you're not seeing that £500 again. And there will definitely be a lot more money that's being invested by individual investors.
Some of them are even sort of more daring than that, aren't they? Because they encourage you by paying a little bit. They'll show you a return, a bit like the alpha CrypX,
Yes,
which is around.
that's right.
They pay you a bit back, which then encourages you. So again, it's a hook. It shows you a return.
Yeah.
You start paying more and more and more. And I mean, that's not necessarily a rug pull, but it's
it's still. I mean, we had that. We had a lady that contacted us about that, didn't she?
Yeah,
and that's what happened.
Two people suffered losses with the alpha CrypX.
And she was investing her husband's money because, she told him to start investing because he was bored.
He just got retired. He was just retired. He was bored, and I mean, my dad's now. Hi, Dad. He's recently retired. He's
something to invest your money in.
This is it. He's he's managed to make himself very busy. Not doing very much though, but he is a trustee of his local housing.
Well, he could start minting a new coin.
Yeah, not that we'd encourage him to get into fraud.
No. I mean, what I'm saying is it would be illegitimate.
A dad coin. There we go.
Dogecoin. Absolutely.
Oh dear.
But that one was interesting because it was bit by bit, wasn't she? She was hooked, and then there was a little bit of a return, and then they wanted more, and then the money was no longer there.
And that was through phishing, wasn't it? Because she'd seen it on Facebook, and then she downloaded this. They gained access to the computer. They'd asked her for details, put an app on her computer which showed this, what would you call it? Effectively this dashboard, didn't it?
So,
a dashboard
like an investment dashboard. Yeah.
And none of it was real.
No.
No.
What else do we have there? I mean, we've got fake NFTs. I suppose that I'm assuming.
That's a bit like I guess that's akin to the rug, isn't it? You've got the mutant ape one, and there were various variants of the ape, aping each other. So
apes aping each other.
Apes aping each other, weren't they? So,
that's right. But I mean, that's a classic one, and assuming most people know what an NFT is, but it's a non-fungible token, and exactly it's like that ape, which went viral and was said to be worth a lot of money, and then it wasn't.
Bored chimp, bored ape.
But that's exactly the same as it would be, kind of like a counterfeit art collection or piece, but it's not the real one. Yeah.
There are giveaway scams.
Yeah.
So
tell me about those.
So giveaway scam. I mean, often these are the sort of things where you see celebrity endorsements, not real celebrities. So these kind of.
Was this like the Tom Brady one that he was endorsing something? Not that this.
That was actually.
Not that this was a fraud, but the same kind of thing.
Yeah.
So I think they jumped on the.
Yeah. So this is a bit like when you see these promos on Twitter showing Elon Musk's face, for instance, or on the screenshot. There's not actually Elon Musk promoting it.
Yeah, sure.
They're using
the celebrity image to say, Elon Musk has invested in £1 trillion or dollars of Bitcoin.
And Elon Musk is obviously the most notable one because he's chucked so much into Bitcoin and Tesla, and he's obviously the biggest, loudest, and increasingly most cretinous voice on X. Some would say.
Apparently, can you still buy Teslas with Bitcoin? Is he still rolling that out? I know you could, but I don't know if he's still accepting it.
But I think, and this goes back to what you were saying about the impersonation. I think AI is going to pose a massive risk with this.
Yeah.
But that's going to, you forget screenshots of tweets. You're going to have videos of Obama, Elon Musk.
Obama buys 20,000 Bitcoin.
Yeah, but you are going to have these people. Or I'm sure there are people who appeal more to the youth, but I just can't mention any. For some reason, they've escaped my memory today.
Certainly not J.R. Hartley.
J.R. Hartley. And the guy who sang Scatman. Who was, I think, Scatman, wasn't it?
I think it was, yeah.
But yeah, so, and what they'll do, they'll screenshot apparent tweets, and, we'll see if we can get a little picture up during this podcast of what that might look like. They might reply to long threads on Twitter, things like that. They'll do big giveaways. So again, if it sounds too good to be true, it probably is.
Yeah.
But those are the sort of telltale signs. And then I guess another one is a romance scam.
Oh wow.
Oh yeah.
That sounds juicy.
It's so this is it's got because it links to various dating apps and so on. I think so.
Like the Tinder swindler, but with Bitcoin.
Yeah.
Well, not Bitcoin.
Yeah. So the Hinge twinge, or the Bumble Rumble, I guess.
For a new coin.
There we go. So
word of advice is don't become a scammer, because that sounds straight
that
away.
doesn't sound good.
That's the Bumble Rumble
the
coin
Bumble Rumble,
has
yeah.
increased 10,000%.
So, but these are people who, I guess it's the honey trap, whatever. This is people who contact you, whether it's via a dating app or through WhatsApp. Occasionally I get random WhatsApp messages from people, starting conversations, and it's clearly a scam. But I guess some people fall for these. What they do fall for these scams. And
no, I can see that. And then what happens? They pay them not in Bitcoin.
They
but
might pay them in Bitcoin. I mean, traditionally it was just paying them money.
Yeah.
But now it's doing that, or access to passkeys, or
that's it.
getting, or it leads on to phishing, for instance.
Yes.
But again, I mean, these, that's uncommon scams. So we'll talk in another podcast about how you can spot these, and then I guess from romance to pumping and dumping. So
Yes.
there's another segue.
Another interesting
question. Well, yeah. So it's about effectively market manipulation. So it's So basically, the price of a crypto currency is, I guess you could say fictitiously boosted, isn't it? Because it's inflated by people suddenly, early
wanting
scammers.
it. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. So they buy a load, very cheap, create a load of social media frenzy about it. Buy now, this is the best new asset. People start buying, the price rises, and then they dump it, disappear.
What wasn't Mr. Musk? Well, didn't he tweet that? I mean, I know Bitcoin rose a lot when he said, "Oh yeah, we would accept it as payment for Tesla."
I think I guess that would just be more.
That's not
his market influence.
Exactly, but what it shows is that if you get something like that, the upkick and
it's celebrity endorsements, isn't it? So,
yeah.
And I mean, there were the celebrity endorsements recently, weren't there, with people from Love Island and Towie who were promoting stuff, and the FCA have charged them with that. Right, I mean that's most of the ones. We've got here we go. So the fake ICO. So so this is, so you've got an IPO, which is initial public offering, so with shares. So when a private company goes listed, goes public, and they offer shares to the public, it's an IPO. ICO, it's an initial coin offering. So it's when a new coin is first offered out, to cryptocurrencies first offered out. Now sometimes these are fake, and it's just a way again of just getting cash in. So
and nothing in return.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And I mean, you'll see and it is worth checking out. Actually, so cryptocurrencies like Bitcoin and Ethereum, they have good white papers, and they're worth a read because they give you the rationale behind it.
Yeah, these ones won't tell that. The background.
At best, it'll be a woolly one. Might be drafted by ChatGPT or something.
But it's so interesting that then people go and put their money in that. I mean, it'd be interesting to know the stats on that.
It's a tulip mania, isn't it?
Well,
gold rush.
That's the thing. Yeah, I mean, it's hard to find the real value, obviously, per fraud. But I mean, the stat I have here is, and which doesn't sound so alarming. I mean, it is, but it was 21,000 is the average fraudulent amount taken.
Pounds
in 21 and 22.
And that's just the average.
That's the average, and then jumping to 33 and a half thousand in 22 and 23. So, but that's the average. I mean, that's still a sizable sum, 33,000 to someone that's saved up all their lives and needs that liquid cash.
Well, this is it, and I guess it goes back to the sort of modern investment portfolio theory. Is just if you're going to invest, well, first of all, do your research, diversify your investments. That's important, but especially with crypto, do your research, check if it's I mean we'll come on to this in another podcast, but you've always got to do that.
Yeah, it's it is interesting. I mean, it's interesting I would like to know where the loss is between the kind of transferring it directly to a scammer versus the actual person fraudulently taking it from a hacking or whatever it may be.
So kind of the passive rather than the active.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And I suppose it's more active where that value derives from, because people are, yes, you do get people that are a bit naive, perhaps not naive, but are easily taken in or whatever it may be.
And it's for some people, it's still seen as a new technology. It's shrouded in mystery, and actually, it doesn't need too much research to understand it. But people trade off that lack of knowledge.
Yeah, and I think and it is a thing with people's attention spans lowering. It's here's a quick thing, invest in this quick, bang.
I've seen someone on TikTok get rich quick. I'll do it.
Exactly.
I mean, I'm not on TikTok. We were talking about it earlier, though, weren't we? So
well, yeah. I mean,
watch this space from that. But
there's hundreds of thousands of videos on TikTok. So which investment to put it in cripto and all the rest of it, and how much has been. But actually, whether that's 100% accurate is a different question. So no, I mean, I think for future podcasts it would be, it'd be good to look into that kind of active versus passive fraud.
I think so. And I think that's pretty. We've got, I guess, a couple of fake crypto wallets.
Yes.
Yes. If you're going to store your Bitcoin, for heaven's sake, store it in a decent, legitimate, Exodus, Electrum, Coinbase, Garde, not
not something absolutely random like Bumble Rumble.
Or the
Hinge Twinge. Or just use a Trezor.
Or just use a hard wallet Trezor.
Exactly.
Exactly. Yeah. But just keep it safe. Don't lose your passkey. Don't keep the passkey with the Trezor. It's just about being sensible.
Don't put it in your will, whatever you do.
This is true.
That's a very important thing. Yeah. Bit of free advice there.
Yeah. Although with the usual legal caveats.
Yes.
That's
sure.
right. So,
sorry, free personal suggestion.
Yeah, personal suggestion. And I think that pretty much rounds up. Certainly, that's the most common ones.
Yeah, I don't.
And then obviously that we've looked at, but
I think we've done sufficiently well.
I think we've rumbled through it quite well. So
absolutely hinge twinge ourselves off that one.
Yeah, so we'll see or speak to everyone at the next podcast, and I'll chat to you shortly. Cheers.
Yeah. Bye.